Welcome everyone to Into the Paradox, where we grapple with some of life's most profound and perplexing questions. Today, we're incredibly honored to have a guest whose intellect, wit, and profound understanding of the human spirit have illuminated countless minds. He's someone who has a way of looking at the world that makes you see things anew, even the most fundamental concepts. I'm speaking, of course, about the one and only Stephen Fry. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us.
My dear Peter, what an extraordinarily generous and, dare I say, almost embarrassingly effusive introduction. One absolutely tries. It's always a delight to be here and to have the opportunity to chew the fat, as it were, over subjects that genuinely stir the soul, or at least tickle the grey matter, of us all. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is entirely ours, Stephen. Now, we're diving into a question today that I think, for many, sits at the very core of our existence. Are we, as a species, as individuals, currently in heaven or in hell? It's a bold question, and I know it's one you've pondered. In fact, you've put some rather eloquent thoughts to it previously. What's your initial reaction when someone presents you with such a dichotomy?
Well, my dear fellow, what a wonderfully provocative question. And thank you for the very kind words about my early ventures into silliness. It's heartening to know they've at least paved the way for some deeper contemplation. As for heaven and hell, are we in them? I suspect, rather delightfully, that we are perpetually in both. They aren't some distant celestial or infernal provinces we're destined for. They are the very fabric of our present existence, woven into the tapestry of our daily lives.
Perpetually in both. That's a fascinating starting point, Stephen. It immediately moves us away from a purely theological or literal interpretation and brings it right into the immediate, lived experience. Could you elaborate on what you mean by the fabric of our present existence?
Absolutely. Think about it. We can experience moments of exquisite bliss, profound connection, a sense of utter rightness, where the world seems to sparkle and every breath is a gift. Is that not a taste of heaven? The laughter with friends, the beauty of a sunset, the sudden understanding of a complex idea, the sheer joy of being alive. It's not some grand pronouncement from above, but a deeply felt internal state that resonates with something transcendent.
I can certainly relate to those moments, that feeling of absolute contentment, where for just a fleeting second, everything is perfect. It's not about material wealth or external success, but a profound inner peace, isn't it?
Precisely. And then, of course, there are the other moments, the sting of betrayal, the gnawing anxiety, the crushing weight of despair, the sheer petty cruelty one can witness or even inflict. Those, my friend, are the sparks of hell, flickering and sometimes blazing within the human experience. These aren't necessarily grand apocalyptic events. It can be the quiet desperation, the silent suffering, the feeling of being utterly lost or alone even in a crowd.
So, it's not a switch you flip, but a spectrum, almost like a weather system within us, constantly shifting between these states.
Oh, absolutely. The fascinating paradox, and I do love a paradox, is that these states can coexist, and indeed often do. One can be in what appears to be a dreadful external circumstance, perhaps enduring physical pain or profound loss, yet find an inner peace, a resilience so profound it feels like paradise. Conversely, one can be surrounded by material comfort and external success, the envy of all their peers, yet be utterly consumed by an inner torment that is pure, unadulterated hell. It's the subjectivity of experience that's so crucial here.
The subjectivity, that's a powerful point. It challenges the idea of a universal, objective heaven or hell, and places the emphasis firmly on individual perception. So, what one person experiences as a nightmare, another might navigate with a sense of equanimity or even opportunity.
Precisely. Take, for instance, a challenge like a creative block. For some, it's a hellish, soul-crushing experience, a terrifying void. For others, it's a necessary fallow period, a time for gestation, a quiet, almost heavenly space for new ideas to emerge. The external circumstance is the same, a lack of immediate output, but the internal framing, the narrative we tell ourselves, profoundly alters the experience. Our minds are such potent alchemists, aren't they?
They truly are. It makes me think about the concept of suffering itself. Is it not often our resistance to suffering that makes it hellish, rather than the suffering itself? That acceptance can be a form of grace.
Oh, absolutely, Peter. You've hit upon a profound truth there. Much of our torment comes from our fervent wishing that things were other than they are. The moment we accept, truly accept, the reality of a situation, however dreadful, a certain peace can descend. It's not a passive resignation, mind you, but an active embrace of what is, which paradoxically frees us to act more effectively or simply to breathe. That act of acceptance, that release of resistance, is a little heavenly whisper in the din of agony.
So, are we transitioning? You mentioned that we're in constant flux. What drives that movement between these states?
Oh, most certainly. We are in constant flux, shifting between these states based on our thoughts, our actions, our perceptions, and indeed the sheer unbidden currents of life. It's a dynamic interplay. One moment you're basking in the glory of a beautifully crafted sentence, the next you're utterly flummoxed by a malfunctioning piece of technology, and your blood pressure surges. It's like a kaleidoscope. The same pieces are there, but a slight shift of focus, a change in light, and the pattern, the feeling, is entirely different.
That's a lovely analogy, the kaleidoscope. It suggests we have some agency in turning it, in consciously trying to shift our perspective or focus. Is that where choice comes in?
Precisely. While we can't always control the pieces, the external events that buffet us, we absolutely have agency over how we choose to interpret them, how we react to them, and what meaning we ascribe to them. This isn't to say one should plaster a forced smile on every tragedy. That would be insincere and, frankly, rather foolish. But it's about cultivating a certain mental posture, a resilience, an open-heartedness. Do we choose compassion over bitterness? Do we seek understanding rather than judgment? These choices, however small, nudge us closer to a heavenly internal state.
It sounds like a continuous act of curation of our inner landscape, a conscious effort to nurture what brings us closer to those moments of bliss and connection.
It truly is. It's a journey, a constant negotiation. The trick, I suppose, is to cultivate the capacity for recognizing and nurturing those moments of heaven, even when the infernal elements are pressing in. It requires a certain mindful awareness, a willingness to pause and appreciate, to genuinely connect with the beauty and wonder that absolutely does exist, even in the midst of squalor and sorrow. It's about not letting the infernal overwhelm the divine, and conversely, not taking the divine for granted.
This leads me to another aspect you touched upon earlier, the inherent duality of existence. It seems you're suggesting that joy and sorrow, light and shadow, aren't separate phenomena but intrinsically linked, almost defined by one another.
Exactly, Peter. Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it. They are inextricably linked. How would we truly comprehend the profound relief of emerging from a period of deep sadness if we hadn't experienced the sadness itself? How could we appreciate the warmth of human connection if we hadn't known the chill of loneliness? The very contrast defines them. To deny one is to diminish the other. Life on earth is a rich tapestry, and it's the interplay of all these threads, dark and light, that gives it depth and texture. It's not a flat, monochromatic experience.
It's almost as if the hellish moments provide the necessary friction or contrast for us to truly feel the heavenly ones. Without the valleys, the peaks wouldn't feel so high.
Precisely. And to wish for a life devoid of any challenge or suffering, while understandable from a purely visceral perspective, would ultimately be to wish for a life devoid of depth, growth, and indeed, true joy. It's in navigating the shadows that we truly learn to appreciate the light, isn't it? The human spirit, in its astonishing resilience, often finds its greatest strength and empathy, not in ease, but in adversity.
That brings us to the human condition itself, our anxieties, our desires, our capacity for both immense cruelty and profound love. Are these inherent aspects of being human what create this potential for both the infernal and the divine within our lives?
Absolutely. It's all part and parcel of this astonishing, messy, magnificent thing we call being human. We are creatures of astonishing complexity, capable of the most heinous acts and the most selfless devotion. Our anxieties, our yearning for meaning, our fear of the unknown, our insatiable curiosity, these are all engines that drive us towards both potential hells and potential heavens. The human heart is a battleground, a sanctuary, and a wilderness all at once, and it's within that space that this dance between the celestial and the infernal takes place.
So, it's not about finding a definitive answer, but rather understanding that this state of being in both is in fact the fundamental nature of our existence, that the paradox is the reality.
Indeed, the paradox is the reality, and to try and neatly separate them, to insist we are only in one or the other, is to diminish the richness and complexity of what it means to be alive. It's to deny the very essence of the human experience. We are not static beings. We are continually becoming, continually navigating this ebb and flow. And in that navigation, there is a profound beauty, a constant opportunity for growth and revelation, and that in itself is a rather glorious, if often challenging journey.
A glorious, challenging journey. That feels like such a fitting summary, Stephen. It really reframes the entire question from a destination to a process, an ongoing experience of navigating life's incredible spectrum. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. It's been, as always, deeply thought-provoking and wonderfully articulate.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Peter. Thank you for asking such deliciously meaty questions. It's a joy to be able to ruminate aloud, and I hope it offers some small comfort or even a gentle prod to those listening, to perhaps look at their own daily tapestry and recognize both the heavenly threads and the occasionally devilish knots within it. Cheerio for now.
And thank you all for joining us on Into the Paradox. We hope Stephen's words inspire you to look at your own moments of heaven and hell with a renewed perspective. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep curating that inner landscape.